Our cars come with an electronic wastegate and an electronic throttle body. We do not need blow-off valves. Now, there's two different theories and different reasons why we should run on blow-off valves in our car and why we should not run blow-off valves in our car. It just depends on the tuner you're running, and I'm going to give you the reason for both sides, whatever you decide to choose. First things first, the blow-off valve is located in between the intercooler and the compressor discharge port on the turbocharger. Now, the first theory is basically the blow-off valve prevents compressor surge. What that basically means is the air being pushed back into the turbo compressor. So, I'm going to basically explain this to you in a very easy kindergarten way. When the compressor blows air, it goes up and it goes to the throttle body that shuts closed when there's enough air going into the car. But there's still air being pushed up and going in. It has to be released in some sort of way. When the turbos are still spooling and the throttle body is closed and you don't have a blow-off valve, that air that's being pushed at the wall is basically being pushed back at the turbo compressor, making it work even harder because now you have opposite force of air pushing it the opposite way. So to mitigate that, you add a blow-off valve so that pressure gets relieved through the blow-off valve. Put your hand in front of your mouth and start to blow air. What happens? You see how your cheeks start to hurt when you start blowing air and the pathway is closed? Now you're gonna try that again, but like this. That's basically a blow-off valve. That is blow-off valve. Now let's talk about the second theory on why you should not run blow-off valves. As you know, our cars come with a mass airflow sensor that is before the turbocharger that's on the intake. So that mass airflow sensor basically determines how much air is being flew into the turbo compressor. And we do not have a mass airflow sensor on our charge pipe that would be reading how much air is being flew into the throttle body, unfortunately. So what ends up happening is your turbo is pushing air into your throttle body and you have a blow-off valve on. Air is basically getting pushed, and then once it hits a wall on the throttle body, it gets leaked out onto the blow-off valve. The problem with that is the ECU is thinking that the turbo isn't spinning enough air. It's not generating enough air into the throttle body now. Now it's going to try to make up for that loss of air that's been leaked out and make the turbo spin even faster. When it comes to tuning the VR30, what the tuner has to do now is whenever the air is being pushed off the blow-off valve, they have to set it to where the turbo is not spooling and the wastegate is open.